It seems like it is happening right now. Bitcoin dominance was slowly trying to break down. 3 consecutive days we were grinding slowly, but right now the pressure is mounting and it's dropping hard. Now, what we want to look at is where we close this particular day, because if you go look at it on a weekly, last week we closed it with a long wick at the upside and a bearish shaped candle. That does mean like you have a lot of momentum going against Bitcoin, and when you are on a daily, that's clear. You had the momentum going down, you came back, retested this range, got rejected. Now, why is this so important? Because when the Bitcoin dominance drops from a long term support range is when you actually get major run in the altcoin market. Now, we've been waiting for this from a long time. So those who had the patience to go through this 460 for 70 days, okay, let me get this straight. For 80 days of sideways action, they are going to reap the benefit for it. If you remember, Ether broke higher and right now it's slowly going back up. So when you see the dominance dropping there or the altcoin dominance going up, this should not come as a surprise. We've actually talked about this before, right? Here, a couple of days back, we actually talked about this. On a 4-hour chart, except Ether actually broke higher. And now, on a 12-hour chart, you can actually see that it is building the momentum. A lot of people are suggesting bearish turns going to the downside, but right now, at least on a short term, the market does not actually show that. If you go look at assets like this, we've talked about this before, right? And on a different perspective, we laid it out like this. Considering ETC as an asset for the alt market, I was actually highlighting like, okay, this can be the swing low. And right now, when you actually go look at the price action, you kind of see like, okay, that's happening. You broke higher, you came back lower, now you're bouncing back up. So as we discussed on the monthly digest here, that does actually seems to be working, right? So when you're in the market here and you see like, okay, certain things are changing, the altcoin market as a whole is trying to get back about the 20-day moving average, things are going to be getting interesting and too much interesting for a lot of coins as you cross back to the side here. Now that's on a daily and you have major stuff happening in the market. Yes, right now Bitcoin is below 20,000, but things are getting interesting. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. So guys, here, when the market actually is doing this, be sure you are in the market, you are alive, and you're observing how things are happening. As we were starting this talk, it's like, okay, the charts are not updated right now. It's showing you 38.42, but this showing you 39.62 does mean on various different exchanges, the volume of this asset is going up. So when you come down, you look at like, okay, where you're getting the major volume, one is coming from Korea. If you remember the XRP bull run in 2017, you had a lot of volume coming in from Korean won. Now, why is that so interesting? Because when I actually go look at it, I'm like, okay, Korean won is depreciating against Indian rupees. So don't even talk about how it's going to be like with the US dollar and others, but with a country which is developing nation, considering Korea is advanced country, it's dropping. So most of the currencies who are right now having trouble against dollar, and when I talk about that, be sure you know what's happening in the market. Even euro is having hard time. Now, why is that? Now you can go different route and talk about different stuff, but when I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, if you really look at what's happening inside this world where you are living in, you'll see like, okay, this is happening in Europe. Great. This is happening inside Europe. And I'm like, okay, things are going really crazy. And when that's happening, keep your mind closed. A lot of coins are going to go up because they don't want to hold their fiat. They're coming into cryptocurrencies. And especially when you actually come into crypto and just before you buy, if you observe some coins are getting more volume, some of them are going higher, you put your money at least a bit there to see like, okay, where it goes, right? And that's leading this. So I'm not saying this 20-30% a day is going to be sustainable. You may have volatility, you may have a correction in between before you actually go back. But what I am suggesting here is that when you look at this trend, something is changing. Whether a lot of people agree or not, something is changing. And I would actually argue that we did not even have a great bear market. If you look at all the bear markets before, it was much, much longer than what we are observing right now. And when you are in this market, I will actually ask you one question. Okay, do you see bear markets trending like this? Do you really think bear markets trend inside parallel lines? You can go check out any different textbooks which actually teach you technical analysis and see like what does it actually mean when the price is inside two parallel lines. As far as I've read and learned, it's a corrective trend which goes against the actual impulse direction. So here your impulse direction is this. I don't think anyone will have an argument about that. And now you are going to follow the same direction as the impulse. So if the wave one was this and it was like, a massive run all the way from like $4 towards $160, 35x, imagine what wave two can actually bring you. But right now, it's not the problem. The biggest problem here right now in the market is that a lot of people just went into disbelief phase because, it was really hard to wait through this time. I'm also a human being and we can say that that was really hard holding. Now, when you see your asset going up, breaking, retesting and bouncing, it's really good to actually enjoy. But, that's one of the assets inside your portfolio. You want to actually see a lot of them doing same stuff. So right now, if I'm looking at it, I would actually go look at XRP. So for me, it is the biggest chunk or the biggest asset in my portfolio. So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is really painful. You're not going anywhere. You're still here when the major assets are going up and down. And, it's really hard to even believe that this is going to skyrocket. But if you actually have observed the history till now, you already know like, okay, we have gone through that comparison in the last video, right? So I'm not actually going to repeat that, but it does actually show you like you are going to see something big here too. But yes, not like the last market cycle. It's going to be even bigger and even better. Why? If you follow this one, you'll actually understand why I put that perspective here, because I definitely believe it is going to happen. Now, as you move through the market and as you see a lot of coins starting to get more volume, move higher, if you remember, we actually talked about the market moving up last time when Ether was trying to bounce from that 800, 900 range. And, a lot of people were having entirely different opinion that you're going much lower from that point. But I remember I put out to the members and here in the YouTube saying, okay, we are going to have a 30 to 50% run up and most likely all coins are going to follow. And if you look at this, you went even higher than that. Great. So when you go down, institutions push you even lower to kill your emotions. When you go down, institutions push it even higher so that your calculations are not on the right side. But what you can bet on is when something is starting to trend, follow the trend. I would say trend is your friend is something which you can follow everywhere in the market in any asset class. So if you see like the price is going inside this, that's a corrective area. Fine. So that's a huge opportunity for you. And in terms of patterns, this is historically proven. 70% of the time, say 67% of the time, this breaks to the upside. And, if that's the odds for this, and you're following historical patterns suggesting you are repeating something like this, I would actually go for the thought process of this. Now, keep this in mind. A lot of people are here expecting another bull run, which is like, way longer. Imagine what will actually happen if that happens to be shorter than what you actually had in terms of time frame, or less than this one. So that literally is like saying, okay, we put in the highs here. So I personally believe like both wave 2 and wave 3 is going to happen within the next 600 days. It can be really hard if you are like, okay, I need the entire wave 2 and wave 3 in next 3 months. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen most likely is that you're going to get your wave 2, and then you're going to go into a consolidation, correction, all those stuff. And then you're going to get the wave 3. So when you have 600 days in between, you can add on one thing for sure. You're going to see another 80-90% drop with 200-300 days of downside. So now it's like, okay, so wave 2 and wave 3 is only going to happen inside 300 days. Because the other 300 is going to be another corrective action in the market. So right now, if you are in the market and you are looking at various different assets, you should be actually looking at something which actually gives you higher weightage to the upside. So what would you look at? Whether it's overvalued or undervalued. Now, if you even look at any basic, say one of the best books for TA I've ever read is like, Japanese candlestick charting techniques. I think it was Steve Nyson. And that's actually one of the greatest books I actually learned a lot from. Now, it was not for crypto. I learned it for actually Forex market. But, markets and psychology works for every asset class. And this, for me, is like, okay, this is starting to turn. And if you actually get a bounce and break through, that's something changing. Now, yes, you definitely have to break through for XRP, but with the SEC case, the issue is, if you don't get a settlement this month, now we are looking for next year. So that's painful, right? But if you have patience and you have other assets packed already, and their targets, you're like, okay, fine, let this one be slow, but I'm definitely going to take profits from the other one. But remember, stay humble and stay low. Now, why am I saying this when the market is literally been trending low for a long time? When I'm looking at this, okay, as we were talking, you saw like, okay, 38.5 was the first level which we saw, but right now it's 38.35. So the momentum to the downside is accelerating here, which for me is like, okay, you are most likely going to see a really good something in alts in next 2 or 3 months, trending way higher than you are like, okay, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100x coming in a lot of different assets. But remember, not even 1% of the human beings are in crypto. And when you're making this huge gains on one side, there are people on the other side who cannot even pay their electricity bill. Now, it's skyrocketing, so it's really hard. But you have to understand, like, okay, governments are trying to add on more money into the market. So for me, as a normal human being, I'm like, okay, this is coming from UK where it's like, okay, we are going to give you free energy bills. Meaning you're not going to pay for now. So either the electricity companies are going to go bust or they'll have to borrow more money, which means the banks or the central banks or the governments has to give them because the banks are already having liquidity crisis. And if you are seeing a lot more free money printed, say, if you look at Germany right now and the inflation rate and you look at the actions which these guys are taking, I'm like, okay, they are putting more money because there is hyperinflation or at least huge inflation, which was created because of a ton of money printing. So it does not actually come in as a normal human being to understand this, because if you're understanding like what's happening right now, it's all going to be bad. And when you see something like this happening in entire Europe, when you see a lot of stuff changing, you need to take note of this. One of the stuff which I've been repeatedly saying here, and I don't think a lot of people were agreeing, like, now it doesn't actually matter whether you have 100,000 followers or 1,000 followers. I would say, if time proves you correct, That means while the story is being written, you're wrong. But when you reach the climax, that's when people understand, like, okay, that guy, this was something he told way before, right? So if we are here, if we are rounding back to the downside, which at least for now, it definitely looks like this, dollar is going to slow down, not for like, ultra long term. And first, you are going to look at this level where it's going to break or not. If it breaks, the next level is here, 101, and that's not bad for dollar. In long term, it's still like a breakout or retest, and most likely another leg higher towards 120, 130 range. And yes, that's going to kill a lot of emerging markets for sure. I agree on that point. But if it breaks here, it's going to come back down to this range. Now, that's going to be an extended long time for bull markets, but bull markets never happen like that. Bull markets actually happen in a way it holds and trends slowly to the upside, and then it goes parabolic. This is a stock we are looking at, right? This is not a crypto. It was trending like this, making higher lows and then bursted through, boom. So this is coming back in. And as we go look at the macro factors like the oil, the gold, the commodities market, you're like, okay, we broke below, we are still staying here. With dollar slowing down, this is getting a little bit of boost. Now, as the dollar slows down, what you really want to look and feel is like, okay, the crypto market is going up. Okay, the stock markets are going up. But one thing you need to actually keep in mind is if stocks don't bounce above this level, now you're coming back all the way down here. And if you break that, it's going to be another bad season. But one of these stuff which you can identify here is most likely the RSI is going to come here and it's going to bounce. Maybe in 3 weeks time, 4 weeks time, we are going to look back at this and say, okay, that was a right anticipation. Why? For me, I would say in crypto market or any asset class, if you are sitting there trying to anticipate the market like this one, it's a couple of weeks old, and where I was saying this, considering this is a swing low on a macro, because the pattern has broken to the upside and you're retesting that, right? And right now when you go on to that and look at it, it does feel like it's moving higher. And when you come into the first 100 cryptocurrencies and look at like the big gainers, you will actually see this. Now, Luna is there, it's pumping crazy, but the volume is not anyway close. So if you actually go on to look at this, as we were talking, this was 38, then it went to 39, now it is 40. So the parabolic action is increasing. Why? And from where, again, you can actually go back into that and check like, okay, which currency is coming in more? Or was 24, I remember. If I'm wrong, correct me. Now it's 27. So when your currency is getting hammered, I mean, you don't want to stay in there. And just looking at the commodities market like gold, and you're like, okay, it's also slowing down. It's not going up much. Should I be in this? Right? And a lot of people don't look at the macro for gold and they come into crypto. Great. But this is not only for one asset. If you see another coin starting to pump 5, 10, 15% next day, people are going to jump in there. They're going to try and chase the green candles. Don't do that. Stay in one asset. These guys are going to come, flow into this asset. I don't know when, but if you have 5, 10, 15 different assets, you are going to see 3 or 4 of them popping. Take your profits when it's at your targets. And always look at the altcoin market, altcoin dominance. As it actually breaks through, you are going to sit and observe your portfolio ballooning. Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. But remember, when it actually starts, it will also end. If you know one thing for sure in the markets here is if it's actually going up parabolic, it also comes down. So it's not only roses and gold here, it will also be pain. And now you don't need to say that, right? We've been here in the consolidation phase. Now, another thing which is really hard for me to actually agree is like people saying we are in a bear market. Okay, maybe I'm completely wrong in this one, but let me ask you this. When you're going up like this and staying there. It's really hard for me to actually say that's a bear market. Now, yes, you can argue that, okay, that's just the dominance. Fine. You come here, you look at this, you went up like this, and you're staying there. You're not actually coming down. You didn't actually put a top like this or like this. You're behaving something like this or a lot like this, right? When you zoom in, we have done this. You look at the price structure and you're following something similar. And if you get a breakout here, this is going to be something even similar. And that's where the major run comes in. And if you are here, have a little bit more patience because you're already gone through the market where it's pushed your patience limit to the next level. Keep that. It's going to be useful for you in your life. Once you take your profits here, you're going to enter different markets. We waited so long, but it's now starting to happen. As it happens, have discipline and consistency throughout your assets. Follow your targets and make sure you're not going in too early to take your profits out. That may reduce your ROI after waiting for this long. And don't do the mistake of thinking like I'm going to take my profits at the top and the price don't reach there and reverse. So take your profits consistently at different key major resistance levels. This can really help. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And if you want these kind of updates on right time, on the right assets, and these digests where it's not just about one asset, there's like a lot of different assets which we go through and talk about. Now, and last time we talked about this, and this is something in general you can get. And when you get these on the right time, the right assets, it's going to be useful. So if you want that, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So that's it for now, guys. Bye for now.